Why, hello, welcome back to Stargirl Chapter 15. Oh, my dear, what is Leo gonna do? The three words said to him by Stargirl, and I quote, I love you. How is he gonna react? Let's read about this. Chapter 15, here we go. She gave everybody in school a card. That was my first thought. When I saw Kevin at school, I was about to ask him, but I pulled back. I waited until lunch. I tried to be casual. I slipped it in with the only thing that mattered that day. The school was in mourning. The game, the loss, the tomato. Oh yeah, incidentally, speaking of Stargirl, did you happen to get a card? He looked at me funny. Well, she gave him to her homeroom, I heard. Yeah, I said. That's what I heard too. But was that all? Did she give them to everybody else? He shrugged. Not to me. Why? You get one? He was looking away across the lunchroom, biting into his sandwich. Yet I felt he was grilling me. I shook my head. No, I was just wondering. Actually, I was sitting on the card. It was in the back pocket of my jeans. Meanwhile, all eyes in the lunchroom were on Stargirl. I think we half expected to see traces of red still clinging to her face. She sat at her usual table with Dory Dilson and several other friends. She seemed subdued. She did not play her ukulele. She did not play with the rat. She just ate and talked with the girls at her table. As the lunch period was ending, she got up but did not head straight for the exit. Instead, she detoured to the direction of my table. I panicked. I jumped up, I grabbed my stuff and blurted out, "Gotta go!" and left Kevin with his mouse hanging and took off. Not fast enough. Halfway to the door, I heard her name. I heard her behind me. "Hi, Leo!" My face got warm. I was sure every eye turned to me. I was sure they could all see the card in my pocket. I pretended to look at the clock. I pretended I was late for something. I ran from the lunchroom. I lurked in the shadows for the rest of the day. I went straight home after school. I stayed in my room. I came out only for dinner. I told my parents I had a project to do. I paced. I lay on my bed and stared at the ceiling. I stared out the window. I laid the card on my study desk. I picked it up. I read it. I read it. I read it. I played "Hi, Leo" over and over in my head. I tossed darts at the corkboard on the back of my door. My father came in. "What's your project? Darts?" I went out. I drove around in the pickup. I drove down her street. At the last intersection before her house, I turned off. For hours, I lay under my sheet of moonlight. Her voice came through the night, from the light, from the stars. "Hi, Leo." In the morning, it was a Saturday. Kevin and I went together to Archie's for a weekly meeting at the Loyal Old Order of the Stonebone. There were about 15 of us. We wore our fossil necklaces. Archie wanted to discuss the Eocene skull he was holding, but all the others could do was talk about the game. When they told Archie about the tomato, his eyebrows went up. But other than that, his face did not change. I thought, this is not news to him. He already knows. Archie spent the whole session that way, nodding and smiling and raising his eyebrows. We dumped our disappointment on him, the devastation of the loss. He said very little. When it was over, he looked down at the skull in his lap and patted it and said, "Well, this fellow here lost his game too. He was winning for 10 million years or so. But then the early classes started growing up around him, and he found himself in a different league. He hung in there as well as he could. He scored the points, but he kept falling farther and farther behind. The opposition was better, quicker, keener. In the championship game, our boy got annihilated. Not only did he show up for class the next day, he never showed up. Period. They never saw him again. Archie lifted the snouted, fox-sized skull until it was side by side with his own face. A good minute passed as he said nothing, inviting us into our own thoughts. Faces staring at faces. Tens of millions of faces in a living room in a place called Arizona. So this is a short chapter. I kind of would like to dialogue a little bit about that. I hope you guys see the connection that Archie is making. He's talking about a prehistoric dead dinosaur type skull in his hand. And that's what he's talking about on the last day. But he's comparing it to what? To these kids today. And can you connect the dots there? You know, when you think of what he's trying to say here, he's trying to mentor these kids. It leads me into my question about Leo, because I guarantee you the first thing that people like to do to Leo in this chapter is they like to hate on him. They're like, Leo, why are you lying? You know you have the card in your back pocket. Why are you running away from Stargirl? You know, you want him to accept that. Well, I ask you this question. What would you do if you were in that situation? Would you be so free to embrace this girl that everyone hates in front of the entire cafeteria and have that awkward moment there? Seriously, would you do that? Would you talk to her, especially after she said, I love you in a letter? Or would you be running away like Leo and lying? You know, I think Leo's very confused right now. So before you hate on him, give him some time. Let's see how he reacts to this. Let's see how Stargirl reacts to this. And I tell you what, we can find out in Chapter 16. A little bit more information coming to you next. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for listening to me here on YouTube. God bless everyone.